to our local non-league, and of course, joining me again tonight, of course, he's the legend that is Andy Leese, manager of Enfield Town, and Andy, going to Hornchurch and beating the FA Trophy winners, that must give you a lot of confidence going in for the remaining games of the season.
Yeah, it gave us a real boost, Dave. It was always going to be a very, very difficult game. The run they were on, there were 16 games unbeaten. But we've always had the belief in the squad. We just had that little blip of, 2 or 3 games where, I think we hit a bit of a barrier, whether it was, a bit of fatigue and just got caught cold in a couple of games. But yesterday we were right back at it again. Great battle, like a boxing match. It was kind of slugging it out early on, and then we got a break, and we went on to win it. It certainly has given us a lift, Dave. And if there was any, if we had lost a little bit of belief in ourselves, and it certainly restored it yesterday.
Well, talk us through the game a little bit, because it sounded like it was quite an exciting game from what I was seeing on Twitter and from people posting stuff on social media. It seemed as if it was a really good game of football as well.
It wasn't for the purists, I don't think. The conditions, made it that way. Difficult wind blowing one end to the other, which helped us first half. Not a lot in it, to be fair. I think you could count on one hand the number of chances fashioned for each side, and I would expect that. With 2 teams where they were, we got a break in the first half. We put a ball. We put a ball in that we've been throwing the ball in with Lee Chappell with his long throws. We varied it, dropped one short for Manny Madger, and he just lofted it into the box, and it found its way in the back of the net. Pretty fortunate, but we'll take whatever luck's coming our way, Dave.
Yeah,
they had a couple of chances. They put past the over the top. It was that sort of game really, first half, and then second half we expected a little bit of an onslaught. They had the wind at the backs, but didn't really materialise till they made some changes. We kept plugging away. We fashioned a few opportunities ourselves, and then ended up with them scoring first. Decent goal. We couldn't do a lot about it. Great run and a header, but it didn't faze us. We plugged away and got ourselves a corner a few minutes later, and Adam Cunnington beat everybody to it. The ball, I've just seen the highlights, actually, the ball dropped quite low, but he's got his head on it, and I think Mo's gone in to challenge the keeper, and it's crept in. And then it was, I suppose, a little bit back to the wall. Maybe the last 10 minutes we were, I don't know, I say Jake Cass came on and then got himself sent off right in the last few minutes. It's a difficult one for me, Dave. I've just seen the highlights. I don't know if it's warrants a red card, but that's the referee's decision. But we were back to the wall for a little bit. They should expect they threw everything at us. Lots of balls being helped in behind us and driven into the box, but we stood our ground and defended really well. So yeah, it wasn't it wasn't a pure footballing game, and the conditions and the pitch don't make for that. Well, in a lot of places, not just Hornchurch at the moment. But I suppose we're probably equal on chances, and two well matched, evenly matched sides going at it. Really, you could say that possibly the draw was the right result, but we got that bit of a break in the first half, and you've got to take whatever's coming your way, Dave. We've had a fair share of bad luck along the way this season, but yeah, that was the tail of the tape, really.
We was pleased to see the likes of other teams, of course, around sort of dropping points as well, didn't they? I mean, Carshalton lost again, and then of course Lewis drew 2-2 with Haringey. So a couple of big teams there in and around it, sort of dropping a few points as well.
Well, I think certainly Lewis. I think when we spoke last week, Dave, they're certainly in the race, and that was, I suppose, that's always a surprise when the top teams don't win. But that was a bit of a surprise. But then equally, I guess Carshalton, that might that might dent their chances. And Margate lost as well, but Cheshunt are the ones coming with a head of steam. They've got 3 games in hand on people. As we said last week again, Dave, they've got to play the top teams still, so it's going to be a difficult run-in for them. But you know, when I always say when they run into each other, both teams can't win. So, but yeah, it did us a power of good yesterday. Keeps us right in there, and yeah, it's still no clearer what you'll need to do to stay in the top 5. But I keep saying, you know, I think we'll need to get most of the points that are on offer to us over the next 8 games.
It's put you in sort of like a 4-point buffer to Lewis as well, so that sort of eases the pressure a little bit, I suppose. But when you still look at it, as you said, you know, Worthing away with the Birds, they're 13 points clear. You know, but then, you know, you look at the rest of it, and Bishop Stortford 66, Folkestone 66, U 65, Hornchurch 62, Lewis, you know, 61, and then maybe Cheshunt, because of their games in hand, on 53. So would you say now it's literally down to those sort of, like, between those 6 teams for the 4 places now? Would you say, you know, the likes of Margate and, you know, and Carshalton and Kingstonian probably a little bit too far away now?
Possibly. I'll stand by what I said last week. They can still do it, but they'll have to go on a heck of a run. They'll have to be winning all their games, I would suggest, and hope something gives above them. But yeah, I would say that that's looking most likely, David. It'll all change on Tuesday because Stortford play Worthing, I think. I think Folkestone play as well, so it's their game in hand. So it'll look a bit different on Tuesday night, and then we'll all go again on Saturday. But yeah, I guess it has come down to that. You know, half a dozen very, very good teams slugging it out for 4 places. I cannot see Worthing slipping up. You know, they might take a couple of draws along the way, but I cannot see them losing 3 or 4 in a row, which is what they'd have to do to you know, to give up top spot.
I mean, Worthing against, you know, as you said, Worthing against Bishop Stortford. I mean, it's got to be you've got to be sitting there crossing your fingers for an away win, isn't it? You know, just to take some points off them.
Yeah, ideally, yeah. I'd like Worthing doing every game. I think they've got to play Cheshunt as well. Still,
yeah.
I did look at the run-ins.
Yeah, they've got Cheshunt on the 26 at
yeah,
Cheshunt.
yeah. I'd like them to please go and win every game if they can. And yeah, that'd be fine. I listened to Adam on Monday night on your show, and I know he says they're game by game, but they'll get to a point very soon where, you know, it'll be mathematically theirs, won't it? But yeah, I really hope they go and win every remaining game.
So, I mean, injuries wise, I know when we spoke last week, injury wise, you know, it was getting a little bit that sort of pressure was easing, but I mean, has that changed in the last sort of 7 days? And you know, and again, we're literally now, I don't know, we're probably only about 2 weeks now away from the deadline day as well. I know you said there's one position that you want to try and maybe get, if you can find someone to step in, any closer to finding that mystery person and you know.
No, not really, Dave. No, I had an opportunity to bring somebody in last week, but we opted against it. You know, I'm back in the group that we've got. So it would have to be someone who, you know, would be a major improvement on what we've got. We have got everybody pretty much available. Yeah, we didn't pick any injuries up as far as I'm aware. Yesterday we had Lyle Delaverde missing; he was away. He'll be back this week, so we really will be at full strength. You know, we've got a number of players around the edge of the squad that are out elsewhere getting games that we can call on if we need to, and some good players at that. You know, so yeah, I think unless anything really drops in our lap, we'll stick with what we've got, Dave, at the moment. I'm loath to bring anybody in that's going to unsettle us or take a bit of time to settle in. I think we've got the answers in the squad. Probably a case of finding combinations if we need to, and you know, we're trying to go back to what we served us well in the early part of the season in terms of you know, the different units in the team. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, Jake Cass getting sent off is a big blow. I mean, he struggled a bit with a foot injury. and he's worked himself back to fitness. I didn't start him yesterday, but he's ready to go. But then if he does pick up a 3-game ban, that will give us 1 or 2 issues. But I think we've got it covered. But let's hope not. Let's see what the report says, and we'll tackle it tomorrow.
I mean, one of the other things as well, I mean, I just asked Paul the same sort of question. I mean, how's this sort of pricing fuel? Do you think that's going to start? If this carries on, how do you feel that's going to affect, maybe signing players and actually getting players on board, et cetera, and maybe some some of the longer travels? How do you think that might affect a team like yourself that's a fan-based club? I mean, I would assume that players are going to start coming in maybe next season if it stays the same, looking for a lot more than what they're on this year.
I hadn't really thought about that, Dave. I haven't heard any. I haven't heard any sort of moans and groans in our group. We drove to Hornchurch yesterday. I guess if anybody, if we are having any issues like that, there'll be players asking for expenses, maybe on top of what they get paid potentially, to cover travel. But we always encourage players to share cars and that where they can. I haven't really thought that far ahead, Dave. I appreciate what's going on out there. It's not the only kind of fuel or energy costs. Transport is everything is on the rise, isn't it? Inflation generally in the country is climbing pretty dramatically, and all our kind of basic needs costs are climbing, aren't they? But I haven't given it any thought, Dave. I haven't heard anybody moan and groan. Of the games we've got, 8 games, we've got 5 at home, so the players should be used to that. They all live within a reasonable distance. I'm probably the furthest one away, I think, from maybe myself and a couple of the players and Ian Hart, one of the coaches. So yeah, I don't know, Dave, is the short answer. I haven't heard any rumblings from anyone.
I mean, one of the questions as well that I asked, Adam on Monday night was, as a manager that's in the playoffs, have you got sort of a plan A and a plan B for next season? I mean, is that something that you've sort of looked at, with the rest of your management team and chairman? Plan A if we get through this, and plan B if we stay where we are. I mean, has there been sort of already sort of planning meetings for next year? Just one way or the other.
Funny you say that. We've got a chairman and I meeting on Tuesday, all being well, to have a chat about things. So I have prompted Paul, and obviously we're making plans. I think you're probably aware, Dave, when you've had Paul on before, in terms of the ground. We're making preparations. Necessary improvements are underway, and so from that side of the equation, we're certainly thinking about it. Haven't given a huge amount of thought to it on the pitch yet. Obviously, we've got our academy as our sort of backup, and there's 1 or 2 things we're planning next year to develop that even further. But no, I haven't. On the pitch, hand on heart, Dave, I think that the squad as it is, it has a lot of players with step 2 experience. I'm sure that if we did go up a level, that the finances would have to improve, because I'm sure we'll have a number of players in the current squad that would be considering that they are considered to be, consider themselves to be valued a bit more than they currently are. And if you want to go and get players, then it is a big step up. I think I know pretty well the level of playing budgets that operate in the level above. But by the same token, you can only operate with, you got to operate within your means. And I don't like getting down and dirty and vulgar about it, but with playing budgets. But I can assure you, we are overachieving considerably with what our resources and where we are. I'm not going to expand on that. I ought to, really, because I can tell you for sure. I know where other teams are at, and I know where we're at. So yeah, inevitably we'll have to think about that side of it if we get a chance to go. But I'm going to sit down with the chairman in the week and we're going to talk through a number of options. Who knows, Dave? That could be, might be me staying or me not being there. I don't know till I speak to him.
Yeah, that's what
I'm assuming he's staying as well. You don't know, David. We of course we plan ahead as far as we can, but it's very difficult in non-league, isn't it? I guess we have a plan every month. We know where we are financially. We know where we are. Well, sorry, that's a bit unfair on the club. They know where they are much further ahead than the month, but I certainly know where we are. And but I'm looking forward to that. Look forward to a chat with the chairman just to have a little think about things and see what the club's plans are. But really, Dave, we're just focusing on where we want to be this season and where we want to end up.
And next up, of course, sort of final question for you. Next up at the weekend is Crimson Casuals. A tricky little fixture, that.
Very tricky. Interesting when Adam Hilshard said that I think he thought Corinthian Casuals were probably their most difficult opponent. And I would agree with that. They play a certain way. They're very, very committed group. They're very well organised. They're nobody's fools. They are always difficult opposition. We won 2-1 there earlier in the season. We scored 2 late on in the game. But yeah, they are for sure. Along with 1 or 2 others we've got to play, but they are a very tricky outfit to play against. So we'll have to prepare this week same as we prepared last week. We prepared really well. We've taken a look at casuals a couple of times as well, so we know what we're going into. But yeah, that's not going to be and we got a tough week then because we play Leatherhead on the Tuesday in a rearranged game, and then it's Merstham. We get 3 of our games in very, very quickly. So we're going to have to utilise the squad properly again across those games. Make sure we keep the energy high and keep the lively legs on the pitch because I think we're going to need them.
Well, listen, mate, we thank you for joining us again tonight, and we wish you and the team all the best, and for the weekend, and hopefully we'll speak again next Sunday.
Thanks very much, Dave. Speak soon.
No worries. Thanks, mate.